Senators, it is good to see you both. Notably, neither of you are senators representing the great state of Florida. Senator Warren, why take this fight to Miami?
Look, Miami is really ground zero in the people who are going to be hurt when the Republican cuts to health care go through. And so we were down there to hear the stories of those people and to bring those stories back here to Washington. You know, look, we've got to have people here up close and personal what it means to take away health care. We heard from a woman today who talked about both halves, what it's like not to have insurance and what it's like to have insurance. Her husband has type 1 diabetes. They were not able to afford insurance years ago. He had seizures. He was in and out of the emergency room. And then 4 years ago, they qualified for Obamacare with these subsidies. They've managed through it. He has not been back to the emergency room. She now has melanoma and is working through her cancer treatments, and they both have gotten now their premiums and said that if those premium increases go through, they're not going to be able to keep their insurance. And that means she was literally talking about, does my husband give up on his diabetes care and end up over and over in the emergency room, or does she give up on her treatment for melanoma and gives up on that? I just want to say, you know, the Republicans need to sit down and talk to their own constituents about what it will mean to take away health care from all of these folks. These are good people who do their best, and they're scared to death because they're about to lose their health care.
Senator Smith, did you share this experience in just when speaking with the people down in Miami, that they understood very viscerally what these we talk about oftentimes in D.C. a lot as policy changes, but what is happening really affects people's lives. Like the people out here in Washington, D.C. and even in New York, as I'm sitting here in New York, have said, well, the Democrats, they're fighting on this policy thing, but they just need to open the government. But this is not just a policy fight. This is life and death for people. I don't think it's hyperbole to say people will die.
No, it's absolutely right, Simone. And this was what was so powerful about this conversation today that Elizabeth and Chris Murphy and I had, because people were really just laying it out there. They were telling very personal stories about their lives. I mean, we talked to this one man, Seth, who's a clinical psychologist. He has his own practice. He has a child who has been diagnosed with autism. He has a wife who had breast cancer, and he has a serious heart condition. And he told us that his health insurance premiums, because Donald Trump is allowing these premiums to double or triple, his costs are going up by $18,000 a year. And when you could
I'm sorry, $18,000?
$18,000 a year is what it's going to be. And he's like, I don't know how we're going to do that. We're going to try to work it out. And he got choked up as he's thinking about how is he going to plan for the future of a child who's going to probably never be able to live completely independently. And all of those feelings that you have as a parent, the need that you have, the craving you have to take care of your family, and all of this is happening, not because it has to happen, but because Donald Trump is making a choice. He said, I choose to expand, to allow these tax credits for billionaires and big companies. I'm going to let those tax credits stay in place, but I'm not going to let these tax credits that help people afford their health insurance stay in place. This is on him, and we wanted to take it to him in his backyard and then bring those stories back.
Well, you did, Senator Warren, and I have to applaud you for it, because you know, I'm all about the tactics and the politics as well as the policy. But to get sometimes to the policy, you need to lay the groundwork with a little bit of tactical effort. So going there, both of you, along with Senator Murphy, and just sort of laying it on the table with real people matters. It matters a lot. And I think it's important to also note how the president is seeing this moment and how he looks at it. There was this moment in his interview with Norah O'Donnell when he got to the shutdown talks. I'd like you to take a listen to what the president had to say.
Sounds like this is not going to get solved. Say it.
Sounds like it's not going to get solved, the shutdown.
It's going to get solved, yeah. Oh, it's going to get solved.
How?
We'll get it solved. Eventually, they're going to have to vote.
You're saying the Democrats will capitulate.
I think they have to. And if they don't vote, that's their problem. Now, I happen to agree with something else. I think we should do the nuclear option. This is a totally different nuclear, by the way. It's called ending the filibuster.
Did you see John Thune said today they're not
I know
going to do
John
that?
doesn't. Well, John and a few other. But you know what? The Republicans have to get tougher.
So, you know, sometimes you just kind of let ish just kind of sit there and marinate in its own thing. And that to me is so discordant. It is so disconnected from what you both were just talking about.
Right. Get tougher on a woman with malignant melanoma.
Right.
Get tougher on the man with type 1 diabetes that they're struggling to control. Get tougher on the guy who had a massive heart attack and nearly died in his early 50s and needs continuing care. Exactly who does this billionaire president want us to get tougher on? Because it's sure as hell not the billionaires that he wants anybody to get tougher on. It's sure as hell not these giant corporations that are making big contributions so he can knock down the East Wing and build a gold-encrusted ballroom. It's not the people who show up at some great Gadsby party.
Right.
Get tougher on our brothers and sisters, our neighbors, our cousins, the people who will suffer because the Republicans are determined they would rather shut down the government than just offer a little continuing help. We're not asking for anything new, just a little continuing help for the people who need it.
And if anybody could see how hard these people are working that we were talking to, I mean, like 2 jobs, 3 jobs, trying to hold it together, trying to balance it out. And I don't know how anybody could work any harder. I don't know how anybody could try any harder to make their family finances work while grocery prices are going up too and energy prices are going up too. And Donald Trump, you know, had the, I don't know what's wrong with him, but basically said, oh no, grocery prices are going down. You know, he's so deeply out of touch. But it's not just that, it's just the cruelty of it that is what struck me when I heard that.
You know, I think the cruelty is the point. That piece of the interview that Michael referenced that we played for the audience, when I listened to the entire interview, the one that people saw on TV and the one you only can find on YouTube, that's another story. We'll get into it next hour, folks. But I was struck by the fact that he is using this, he believes that this is just political leverage. He thinks this is just the political game for him. He's like, look, the pain is the pain, and eventually they'll relent. That's essentially what he is saying. Meanwhile, there are real people who are stuck in limbo here. I was in Cleveland this weekend, and I met a gentleman walked by in the lounge we were at the hotel, and he came over and he told me he was a retired air traffic controller. He was retired after 32 years, and now he teaches at one of the academies. He's a contractor, and he said that they are currently discussing how they won't be able to continue to teach at the academy. They're going to have to send the people who are being trained to be air traffic controllers home after the end of this year because they don't know where the funding is going to come from. These folks that are being deployed out there in the field, because of the government shutdown, they're going to have to cover their own per diems. They can't afford this. On top of that, all of these folks are working. Some of them are trying to pick up another job, drive Uber. And as he was explaining this to me, I was like, did you vote for the president? He said, no, I didn't vote for him, but I have people in my family who did, but I just don't understand how anybody could do this to us. That's what he kept saying. I don't understand how they are doing this to us. I don't understand how they are doing this to us.
And you've got it exactly right, Simone. It's Donald Trump is trying to figure out how to make more people hurt more. And how do we know that? Just look at hungry kids right now, right? Never before in a shutdown has there been any interruption of SNAP benefits, everybody continued, no matter whether you had a Democrat or a Republican in the White House, you continued those benefits. So little kids didn't go hungry, so veterans didn't go hungry, so seniors didn't go hungry. And that was what Donald Trump's own website said in anticipation of the shutdown. But once the shutdown came, said, wait a minute, here's some more people you can hurt. And he seems to think if you can hurt those people, that will be leverage against the Democrats, which is another way of saying that Democrats care about hungry kids and hungry veterans and hungry seniors, but Donald Trump sure as hell doesn't.